Wynalda, the interim coach of Atlanta Silverbacks. Coach, during the initial interview with journalists, you said, let's get the team 2 wins and let's talk about it later.
Right.
And here we are, two
Right.
wins under the belt. Where are we?
I think the team's coming together really well. The quick fix is always the best and easiest part. If a team can find the way to get results immediately, it makes everybody feel better. But the real work now is to build a team that's going to be able to be successful in the upcoming weeks. So it was very difficult last week. Somebody asked me, was this the best week of your career? To get 2 wins in 7 days, and my answer was that this was the worst week of my life because I had to inform 6 professionals that they wouldn't be with us for the next stage, and that was hard as a manager to make cuts and to release players. But the evaluation process is over. I think we've got a set team. The attitude is right. The spirit of the group is very good. That doesn't mean that the people that we let go are bad people or not good people. I mean, they're great people, but they just didn't fit into the vision of what we had for the rest of the season. So I feel really good about the team. I think that they have, even though we didn't make much changes from the group that was losing a lot of games, I think that they just feel like they know their roles. They understand what I expect of them, what Brian expects of them, and they've connected the dots really quick. So Edmonton is a game that we have to win. There's just no other way of putting it. It has to be 3 in a row. And I told them yesterday's practice was really bad. It was probably the worst I've seen them since I've been here. And the message was, I don't care what has happened in the last 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks is the most important part. So I think we had some fun today. You were at practice. You saw what. There's some smiling faces, and we took a little bit of the pressure off. But the idea is to turn it up a notch tomorrow. It's not going to be the hottest of days, but I want my guys to be flying. I think if we can get ahead early, this is a game that we have to win.
One of the most important things you mentioned, the players should never be late for the practice.
Yeah.
I arrived 5 minutes earlier, and I was up for a shock. Everybody was already on the field,
right.
Not a single late player.
Right. Well, look, I don't have a lot of rules. As professionals, you have to understand a couple of things. The one thing that I told them from the start is if we accept each other and respect each other, if we can get there and everybody understands where everybody's coming from, we'll be okay. I make everybody shake hands and look each other in the eye every morning. Everybody. You have to find each individual and shake their hand and look them in the eye. Because you find out a lot about what's going on in that person's life in those 3 seconds. And so I think what the last part of it is out of respect, you're never late, ever, under any circumstances. Because that's disrespectful to your teammates. And it's part of being a pro, you need to be there. So the other impressive part is that we have finished practice always is 10:45. And that is by design, that I want them to never slow their play down. I want them to give everything that they have for that allotted time. And regardless if it's the best practice or the worst practice we've ever had, it's over at 10:45, and they can start addressing the rest of their day. So they're getting used to it. They're getting used to being on a schedule. Being on time is a good sign, because I think when you lose a lot of games, teams, they wake up in the morning and they look at the alarm clock and they say, oh, I gotta go to work, I gotta go practice. The attitude in the locker room before and after practice is fantastic. And they want to be there. They want to come and see their teammates and practice. So I'm very proud that we were able to get the group and the spirit of the group to where it is so fast.
In a very short time, you made these players to come to work,
Right.
And have fun with it.
Right.
How do you do it?
Well, this is the best job in the world, and they just need to be reminded of that. I think at times when you're losing and you're not, maybe the communication isn't what it should be, and you don't know where you stand and you don't know where you're going. It's hard. It's hard, and it's just like any other job. There's 2 different ways to do it. Either you have a job or you want to do the work. Some people that have a job aren't always doing the work. So the secret or the trick is to get them to do the work and to have fun doing it. And that's part of your job as a manager.
You made a big name for yourself as a owner and coach of a huge underdog in the Open Cup, Cal FC.
Right.
So now you committed the organ transplant, if you allow me to use this metaphor,
Right.
and so many key players are here part of Atlanta Silverbacks. What does it mean to you as still the co-owner of Cal FC?
Well, look, I think as far as the Atlanta Silverbacks are concerned, we really haven't changed the starting group. You know, Cal FC players haven't come here and earned their spots yet, so they're not you know, immediately expected to change this team. I brought in good professionals, good players who have a future, good people. You know, Beto Navarro is very difficult to get him here, but he's a great addition to the team because he's a good guy, and he's going to work so hard to get better every day, and push the group, you know, to force the guys that are in their spots not to get complacent. Pablito Cruz, who I've always been so impressed with, he's never had a professional week in his life until last week. So he's struggling a little bit. It's going to take him time to acclimate. Danny Barrera is a very talented athlete. He needs time, but he's not a starter just yet. He might get his first start tomorrow. Randolph is a good left back. I told Chris Clute, you want to learn how to play this position? I'm going to bring in a guy that you can learn from. And I think that's unfortunate. He took an injury upon his first 3 days here, but he'll be a great addition too. So, look, the team that we're building, the idea is not just to put a Band-Aid on a problem, but to create a team that will have the chance to build, you know, onto the future. We brought in Chris Clute and Jabari Willis from the reserve team. This club has a lot of assets. There are more players in that reserve team that need the chance to be part of the first team. It's just my job to facilitate that.
In a very short span of time, you won the hearts and souls of not just the players, but the spectators. And you made a comment yourself that you are surprised for a team that lost so many games, has so many faithful supporters. Now everybody is wishing, what can we do to keep Eric Wynalda in Atlanta for longer? What's your commitment with Fox?
Well, I have a contract with Fox, and the way that we'd address the problem of me being committed to a contract was put us into a situation where it only had me here as the coach until the 15th of August. Now, also part of my job is to find a replacement, which I found in Brian Haynes, which is fantastic for this organization. It wasn't a very difficult search. It was just a matter of whether he would do it or not, and the timing was right. So I feel like I'm leaving with him. They're in great hands, and I think that the organization will be fine. I will always be a part of this club now. I will always be, even though I can't be here on the weekends. When I'm with Fox, I have to do television on weekends. Unfortunately, all of our games are on Saturday, so I won't be here for the games. But I'll be obviously in spirit. But I'm going to come back a few times to be a part of the group, to see them through training, and I continue to help as an advisory role.
With popularity of reality shows, how about Fox creating a program about you coaching Atlanta Silverbacks?
You know, it's funny you say that, because I think there was the idea, they were going to entertain the idea of possibly doing a reality show. I didn't feel like that it was necessary, and I didn't eventually it just didn't happen. It would have been fun. It's not something I would shy away from. I'm not that kind of person. You know, I can't tell you how many people told me, don't do this. Don't ruin what you created with Cal FC by going to the Atlanta Silverbacks because you can't win. And I didn't believe that. I thought that the players here were just underperforming. I thought that they just needed new life, you know. When I got here, you know, Nico Colaluco didn't look like he could last maybe 20 minutes on a soccer field. And there's talent there. and we just had to manage it. And now, he gets his first goal for the club. Borfakar gets his first goal for the club, and against Minnesota, and a win. And suddenly things look a little different around here. Second to last place feels a lot better than last place. And I think, if this is a horse race, we have a couple more horses to catch. But I think we're getting there.
Was the offer from Atlanta Silverbacks the only offer you got at the time?
Yeah, I think I'll be honest, I was devastated when I didn't get the Chicago job, but I lost out to a very good friend in Frank Lopez. So it didn't sting as much, but I really felt like I was ready, and I was committed to the organization to try and get my first shot at coaching. I've been denied twice at Chivas USA, and they've gone different directions, Robin Fraser and Martin Vasquez. So at the time when Andy Smith called me, I had really given up on the idea of coaching because it just wasn't happening. And I had to come up to the reality of my situation, which was people look at me as if I'm just a commentator, and that's all I have to offer to the game. Andy didn't see it that way, and neither did Boris. And when we started those conversations, we were able to compromise to allow me to come here for short term to prove it, to prove that not only can this club be better and fix the problem, but also that maybe experience, if it's necessary for me to have this experience, to be a manager, be considered a manager, and that this was a part of my process. So things are going great right now, but I think again we need to focus in on the next couple of weeks because it could determine our outcome in the season.
Based on your experience with Chicago Fire, and you being a teammate of Peter Nowak, who all of a sudden was available, did his name ever came to your mind when looking for a new coach for Atlanta Silverbacks?
I couldn't afford Peter in those days. Peter's an expensive guy. And I think under the financial constraints that we have here, you think about it, but you also have to be realistic. There are plenty of young coaches and older experienced coaches like Brian Haynes, who need the opportunity. And this is a good building block for Brian as well. I think that this club should be very fortunate to have him. But I worked with Peter, and I played with Peter. I played against Peter. I have an amazing amount of respect for him as a person and a manager and just a human being. So we talk a lot, and I obviously he didn't make a list simply because probably just wasn't going to work financially.
Based on this morning practice, when you will make a final decision about the lineup for tomorrow game against Edmonton?
No, we just got confirmation that Borfakar will be okay to play, so the lineup does not change from the last game. The same starting lineup that we played against Puerto Rico will play, outside of giving Joe Nasco, the goalkeeper, his first chance. It's the only position we really haven't really opened the door for it to be a fight, because every position needs to be a fight every week. But it'll be the same team, the exact same team.
When will you think is best opportunity for the new players to show their skills on the field?
Well, the new guys need to be integrated into the group. I mean, that's you can't just expect them to go from sleep to sprint like that. I like what they bring to the table. Pablo had a good 10 minutes in the last game. He showed that he can fight, and for his size, he's an amazing soccer player. And you look at him at first, you say, "You kidding me? This guy's a soccer player?" And then you take some of the biggest, most strongest physical players in the league, they can't get the ball from him. They can't. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as hell for those guys to see this guy. And he needs time, though. He needs time to train. He needs time to get to know his teammates. Danny's different. Danny Barrera, I feel that we were able to get a good 35 minutes out of him, but he changes the dynamics of the team. So he'll be in. When Randolph's fit, he plays. He's a left back. He's the left back. And we'll see where Beto goes. Beto has to fight for his spot in the... but I think we'll see the Brazilian boys, for sure, in this game. 100%. They've had a really good week of training. And the area that they're from in Brazil apparently is very highly populated here in Atlanta. So there's a lot of Brazilians that come from the same city that they're from. So I'm looking forward to their inclusion tomorrow.
You are not just a coach, but also take a significant part in management about players' conditions, salaries, and
Yeah.
housing.
Yeah.
Can you say something about that?
Well, I mean, when I got here, I think some of the biggest problems we had was just the logistics of where guys lived, where they were, how much money they were making. And, you know, we really had to balance the books. I mean, there was a lot of guys that I didn't feel were going to have a future here. And we needed to reallocate that money. You know, some guys needed a reward here. There's guys like Jabari Willis who was living really far away. He wasn't making any money. And my conversation with him was pretty funny. It was the first time I saw him, and it was one practice. It was one practice. That's all it was. And I brought him into the office and I said, "What do you live? Who do you live with? How much money do you make? Do you have a car? I mean, all the questions that I need to know. Do you have a girlfriend? Do you have, where's your family? What's going on here? You know, that just get to know a kid." And my question was, what are you doing tomorrow morning? And he said, "Well, you guys are traveling, so I don't know what I'm doing." I said, "No, Jabari, you're coming with us. Can you get to the airport? You're starting against Minnesota." And he looked at me and said, "Are you for real?" And I said, "Yeah, this is real." And obviously he had 2 assists, and he was a huge part in the game. So it's fun. That's when it becomes, you see the part of the job that you love is to see, you know, a kid's face light up and be able to be a professional.
Do you have a formal education as a coach, or just simply runs in your DNA?
No, you know what? I took the classes. I got the badges. You know, I did. You know, as a national team player, you can go straight to your B. So I took my B. I took my A. I have to renew that actually. I think it's up, but it's been a while. But I was able to learn from a lot of different coaches over the years, whether that be Bruce Arena or Bob Bradley or Ziggy Schmidt, the guys that we know as Americans, or Peter Neurer or Klaus Tottmuller or Boral Milutinovic, and some of the other guys that I had from the foreign aspect. You know, Victor Vucetic, who's now with Monterrey, is probably one of the most successful coaches in Mexico. I think experience is literally something that we have a really hard time defining in this country. People believe that you have to go be an assistant for 5 years to learn how to be a head coach. To answer your question, yeah, it's in my DNA. I know how to manage people. I know how to communicate. I'm a good scout. I know how to build a team. And I know how to win. That's pretty much what you need to do.
Talking about communication, how many languages do you speak?
Speak 3. Spanish, English obviously, and German. So don't have to speak German here. I mean, Spanish a lot. Learned Spanish through my time playing with Latino players and also a year in Mexico. So that's an important part of it. I mean, being able to connect and talk to fans or talk to players, you know, it's important to be able to speak the language. Something I don't know. I always had I don't want to say it came easy to me, but I don't struggle with language. It's something that I embrace it.
How much of a player is still in coach Eric Wynalda?
Not much, but I do know this. I love the game. I've never loved it more. It's a different feel. You know, as a parent, I have 4 kids, so you love to see your kids do things. You love to see your kids, you know, find something that they love and to smile or to enjoy, you know, a different thing or have that experience of something new. You see that a lot in management. You know, when you're able to put an arm around a guy and help him with something in his life, not necessarily with soccer, but I tell everybody that I try to stay out of their way, but don't let them get in their own way, which is a big part of managing a football team.
Thank you so much, and good luck for tomorrow's night game.
Thank you very much, Mike.